Have you ever looked at a car and wondered if the designers were having a really bad day? Well, the 1980s had plenty of those days. Today, we're diving into automotive history's Hall of Shame, the 10 ugliest cars of the 1980s, and trust me, these aren't just bad. They're what were they thinking levels of disaster. From Ferrari's awkward cousin to Cadillac's identity crisis, we've spent hours digging through automotive archives to bring you the most cringeworthy designs that somehow made it past quality control. By the end of this video, you'll understand why some of these cars deserve to be locked away in a museum of automotive mistakes. We'll start with an Alfa Romeo that looks like it went through a hot wash cycle and work our way down to a Ferrari that proves even the Italians can have an off day. Buckle up, as this is going to be a wild ride through the decade of excess and questionable design choices. Now, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, you can pause the video and do so now. That way you'll never miss out on our upcoming videos covering everything from automotive disasters to hidden gems from every decade. Now, let's dive into the 10 ugliest cars of the 1980s, starting with an Alfa Romeo that looks like it had a bit of an identity crisis. Number 1. The Alfa Romeo Milano. Have you ever gazed at the 1985 Alfa Romeo Milano and thought, what was on their mind? Well, trust me, we did too. It appears that Alfa possibly began with intentions for a bigger vehicle, but then suddenly transitioned to a more compact model, so maybe the CAD program couldn't manage the change and just crashed. The outcome though? A vehicle that appears to be uncertain about its future identity as it matures. The Milano's dimensions appear slightly incorrect, almost as if it shrank in the laundry or a lanky teenager that just hit puberty. Number 2. The Cadillac DeVille. The 1977 Cadillac models successfully reduced in size while preserving their elegance. Jump ahead to 1985 and it's another story entirely. The DeVille turned into a mere echo of its past, diminished to a small, less notable variant that was difficult to distinguish from its Oldsmobile and Buick relatives. This was a period when Cadillac appeared to be drifting, reflecting GM's more extensive challenges with its identity and quality. Frequently, individuals hold the Cimarron responsible for damaging Cadillac's reputation, yet the DeVille's size reduction played a significant role, heavily impacting the brand's downturn. A redesign in 1989, featuring an extended wheelbase and enhanced proportions, was necessary to address those concerns. But for numerous individuals, the harm to Cadillac's image was already firmly established, or should we say cast in metal. Number 3. The Lincoln Mark 7. The Lincoln Mark 7, especially the LSC variant, may lead you to believe it's a Mustang GT in disguise, and you wouldn't be entirely mistaken. It boasted impressive performance metrics due to its common ancestry, but let's just say its style didn't appeal to everyone. The Mark 7 featured ample glossy overhangs that appeared to prioritize style over practicality. Although the LSC variants offered speed and a touch of flair, the regular models fell short, offering little of note beyond their clumsy effort at luxury. Number 4. The Zimmer Quicksilver. The Zimmer Quicksilver is a story of ambition transformed into excess. Zimmer pushed the idea of neo-classic cars to an extreme by incorporating vintage designs into contemporary frames. What was their greatest mistake? Well, it was the Quicksilver. Imagine beginning with a Pontiac Fiero, extending its wheelbase by 15 inches to form an absurdly lengthy front end that had no function other than to mislead. Although it featured an impressive hood reminiscent of the days of powerful engines, it contained only a humble V6 that was ironically situated behind the passenger seat. Keeping the Fiero's pop-up headlights contributed to its fragmented look. With a price tag of roughly $50,000, indeed the same as a modern Mercedes 500 SEL, the Quicksilver prioritized appearance over practicality, leading one to question whether that money could have been better allocated, quite possibly, to anything else. Number 5. The Monte Carlo Aerocoupe. The 1986 Monte Carlo Aerocoupe was Chevrolet's response to being outperformed by Ford's sleeker Thunderbird in NASCAR. Chevy's response? A redesign that included adding a more aerodynamic rear window to enhance airflow efficiency. The drawback, though, was that they needed to sell a minimum of 200 to the public to make it eligible for racing. The outcome was honestly somewhat of an eyesore. The redesigned rear glass amplified the already prominent front overhangs, resulting in an awkward appearance. Rather than a complete redesign of the hatchback, GM chose to implement a small trunk lid, which offered minimal storage space unless you intended to vacuum seal your luggage beforehand. Number 6. The Ford Tempo. The Ford Tempo was an automobile that aimed to introduce a new era of aerodynamic styling but faltered from the start. Originally designed to include stylish European-style flush headlights, the Tempo ended up with traditional square-sealed beams encased in chrome because of regulatory holdups, which was far from the modern appearance Ford had intended. The intended headlights made their first appearance in 1986, however, as one issue was resolved, another emerged. By 1988, Ford had transformed the sedan's rear into a bulky, unappealing design. Although the coupe variant avoided this visual blunder and appeared quite attractive, its allure was merely superficial. Beneath rested a rudimentary engine, essentially Ford's classic straight six with 2 cylinders taken out, and a suspension setup that was rather lacking. Number 7. The AMC Eagle Kammback. Picture transforming a classic AMC Gremlin into a rugged 4x4 and then leaving it that way. That's essentially the tale of the 1981 AMC Eagle Kammback. In the late 70s, AMC wasn't exactly overflowing with money or innovative concepts, but they did possess the Jeep division and substantial off-road expertise. They utilized this to develop the Eagle line, a trailblazer in the crossover market. The Kammback represented the economical option in this series, utilizing the Gremlins or perhaps the Spirit's chassis as a foundation. With just 5,603 obtaining owners, it was evident they may have extended the idea a tad too far. The Kammback was infrequently displayed from the back in marketing materials, likely done this way to conceal its genuine Gremlin lineage. Smart marketing for sure, but even that couldn't turn this product into a success. Number 8. The Cadillac Seville. Have you ever seen the 1980 Cadillac Seville from the rear? It's quite difficult to overlook its bustleback style, which appears to pay homage to the more elegant Daimler DS420 limousine. The pursuit of luxury may bring to mind that classic Billy Joel lyric about requiring cash to appear genuinely unfashionable. However, the style was not the only dubious element. The Seville also faced issues internally. Featuring a collection of unreliable engines such as the insufficient 4.1-liter V8, a problematic old-school diesel, and the infamously untrustworthy V8 6.4, it's surprising this vehicle maintained its mobility for as long as it did. Number 9. The Chevrolet Citation. Next is the 1980 Chevrolet Citation, a vehicle intended to reflect the stylish, practical European hatchbacks, but turned out to be quite the opposite of that. Picture a vehicle that seems as if it prefers to be permanently stationed in the driveway, possibly even serving as an improvised couch. It was large, sluggish, and appeared to have an excessive fondness for its clumsiness. The Citation's design implied a car suited for a leisurely lifestyle rather than dependability, frequently seen at the dealership for repairs instead of on the streets. One glance is all it takes for you to wonder, how could anyone consider this one a good idea? Number 10. The Ferrari Mondial. Do you believe that all Ferraris are works of art? Well, if you do, the 1980 Ferrari Mondial could potentially change your perspective. In contrast to its smooth and stylish relatives, the Mondial resembles the clumsy cousin at the family gathering, elongated, bulky, and somewhat mismatched with its mid-engine configuration crammed next to a rear seat. It's like if you took that painting, American Gothic, and added an emo child in the background. Moreover, that nose, sloping downwards with slats reminiscent of a window covering rather than a car grille, certainly doesn't enhance its appeal. It is said that the Mondial emerged from a failed dare at Pininfarina. It's difficult to dispute that story when you witness it firsthand. Well, those were the ugliest 10 cars from the 1980s. If you want to see more videos about cars, the good, the bad, and the ugly, click subscribe and turn on notifications. Tell us in the comments which car you think looks the worst, and we'll see you next time.